Hey, busy lady. My name is Caitlin Mark, licensed dietitian, and I want to help you find good health by returning to God's good, intelligent design. The goal of this podcast is to dig into how our bodies have been designed to work using the Bible and trustworthy research so that you can diet simply and sustainably. Let's get into today's episode. In the last episode, talked about the importance of getting to the root of your symptoms before your health gets any worse. Now I'm going to give you a little glimpse into one of several tools in my toolkit for getting to the root of your symptoms. So typically as a dietitian, I've been trained to look at what someone eats and then say whether or not they're getting all the nutrients they need. It's a very simple thing. However, when it comes to you being that client and I'm telling you what to eat, what not to eat, it can be contradicting sometimes, and many times it's confusing because you're focusing on individual nutrients instead of the whole diet. And then you have this whole other realm of supplements and medications and things to add on top of your diet, and it all can get really confusing. So when I started looking into why my clients are having problems with ovulation or fertility or losing weight, I started realizing that we in the health field actually don't know as much as we wish we knew. For example, you go to a doctor's office and they will run several tests to figure out the root and balance of your symptoms. This definitely has an important place. But I cannot get myself fully behind these tests because I realized that because we have very limited knowledge and understanding of how the body actually works, we only have a few pieces of a very large puzzle, and we don't know which pieces are in the wrong place because we don't have the big picture of the puzzle. So if that's true, if our knowledge is very limited and our understanding of how the body actually works is very limited, then when we go to that doctor's office and they run these tests, how do we know that the normal range they're using for the tests are good levels or normal levels for everyone? How do we know that these tests actually point us to the root of the imbalances? Maybe they're just pointing out something wrong, but it's just a symptom. It's not the actual root cause. And how do we know that treating what we think is the root won't cause further imbalances? And that could be because we're wrong about the root imbalance or because the treatment itself caused imbalances. So I've been really thinking over these questions and asking myself, how do we really know that what we think is happening in the medical field? So when we test for iron and it shows it to be low, our immediate assumption might be that you're not getting enough iron in your diet. But what if there's something else going on blocking iron from being absorbed? Or maybe the type of iron you are getting, your body's not absorbing it very well. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I was listening to a doctor the other day and he brought up the idea that maybe what we think is the root imbalance actually isn't the root imbalance, and by treating what we think is the root imbalance may cause more imbalances. He was talking about candida, and treating candida doesn't actually treat the root imbalance. It's very possible that the overgrowth of candida is because there's high levels of dangerous metals in the body, and that candida actually protects the body from the damage of those metals by eating the metals. So when you destroy the candida in the body, you may not only be exposing the body to toxic byproducts the candida had inside it, but you now eliminated the thing that was protecting you from the dangerous metals you were being exposed to. So what in the future is going to protect you from the dangerous metals if candida is gone? That's just one example of a way that we in the health realm tend to think that we are treating the root imbalance, but our knowledge is so limited and our understanding of the body is so limited that we don't realize that by treating what we think is the root imbalance actually causes more imbalances. Thinking about this has really got me convicted as a dietitian, because what can I recommend people? What can I tell them to do? If I recommend a supplement or one treatment or another, what if that causes more problems or doesn't actually address the root imbalance and the imbalance gets worse? That's when I really brought it home to, if we don't really know anything, is there anything we can do or not do in order to heal our bodies? One of my strongest beliefs I have in the health realm is that God designed our bodies to have innate intelligence. What made me think about this is thinking about someone who gets pregnant and how the body is so incredible to produce breast milk for the baby and to do all these things itself. We don't have to tell our body or do anything to make our body prepare for a birth or feeding the baby afterwards. And so seeing that beautiful picture of how the body naturally responds to events in our lives, that's where I started thinking maybe our body is actually very intelligent and is designed to do those things on its own without us meddling with what it needs to do. I'd say that though we don't understand why the body does what it does, we can trust that God designed it to do that for a reason. Therefore, I believe we can allow our bodies to heal the best and safest through fasting. And this is where I came to that conclusion of what if we just took our hands off and allowed our bodies to do it itself? What if our bodies, being created with innate intelligence, knows best what they need to do, and oftentimes us adding supplements or medications or eating all the time or doing this, doing that is actually blocking our bodies from being able to do what it needs to do. Thus, fasting has become a major part of my health protocol with my clients. Instead of me telling you what I think your body needs or you filling your body with supplements you think you need, we both take a step back and let your body do what it needs to do to heal itself. I have other important parts to my protocol. Fasting's not the only thing. For example, what to do when you're not fasting is critical too. But fasting to me is huge. It's the basis, I'd say, of a lot of my recommendations. And I truly believe that fasting is the best way to get to the root of our symptoms. In a future episode, I'm going to cover some of the research behind fasting to show how fasting not only helps with fertility, but it'll also help with losing weight, and how fasting can address so many issues, so many symptoms, because it allows the body to do what it needs to do and in its own timing, not our timing, not where we think we need to lose 20 pounds right away, but by letting the body fix things, repair things, if there's any damage, help get rid of waste, whatever. The body does it itself if we just let it do it. And the best way to do that is by fasting. Because I mentioned fasting, I need to put a disclaimer in here. I believe some form of fasting can be healthy for everyone. However, fasting is a muscle and it might need to be slowly implemented, especially if you're on prescription drugs. If you're on any prescriptions, please talk to your doctor or dietitian before changing up your eating routine. That's all I had for this episode. I'm going to keep it real short. We're going to dig into fasting in the future. But I just wanted to introduce how I came to the idea of fasting. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, go to the page in the show notes below for this episode and ask them there, and I will get back to you as I can. Thanks for listening. Hey friend, real quick, if you enjoyed this episode, then I think you would also enjoy our free private community. Head over to community.yourplatewithkate.com, link in the show notes, to learn more about our free private community. See you in the next episode.